Alright, thank you for watching, and this is Visuino component creation 01111. Wait, 01. Let me try that again. 01111110. And for everyone else, that's number 126, and we are going to go over how to create a basic component with an elements menu so you can add multiple of something or take them out, or all that good old stuff. Hey, all you Visuiners, welcome back. Visuiners. It just sounds kind of funny to me, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to go over how to make a component with a elements list. Now, in this elements list, we're going to use pretty much the same examples as the other tests, test A and B, with the digital in that just turns it on and off, and the one with the single offset. So you feed in an analog and you have an offset value, and then it feeds out an analog signal minus that offset. The same. If you haven't seen the other videos, number 121 through 125, go check them out on the YouTube. The links are in the description, so no excuse. And also, I'm just going to go ahead and get it over with early. You can like, share, subscribe, comment on this video, please. Give it a thumbs up. It's simple. Or you can go to patreon.com/aka Pigeon Kicker. Just like that down below, and all the files that I have made to create this video and this specific component are available for download on my Patreon site. There is no need to donate to get the files. Just leave me a like or something. Come on, be cool about it. Let's get into it. Okay, so if I packed everything up good and you unpacked it right and you're all updated on your Visuino version, make sure that you're running at least 8.0.0.10. It is still in beta. Things are still going to change, so make sure that you're ready for that. So anyway, go ahead and grab the zip file. You know where to get it. Just told you. And I'm going to show you how it's done. Alright, so once you get it all loaded up and opened up and all that stuff, just add up in the side here, you're going to see where the test E is, and that's where you add it from, but I'm not going to add a second one. If you highlight the one that's included in the sketch, you're going to get the wrench. If you click on the wrench, it's just like opening up the elements on the left side in the properties pane. And right now you'll see that I have one of the test A elements and then a test B element. These do exactly the same thing as test A and test B in the previous videos, but there's a big difference in the way you gotta code it. Okay, so right now we have one of each in there. I'm going to add one of the test A's again, just so you know it works. And then I will add one more of the test B. And as you'll see in the properties here, in the elements, over on the side, it has added one more test A and one more test B. Now, what these are doing right now is it is just getting a pulse generator every 3 times every 0.3, so 3 seconds, something like that, every 3.3 seconds. So there, yeah, woo, got it. Anyway, every 3.3 seconds, it sends a signal to test A to flip-flop from true to false. Okay, that's all it's doing. The sine analog generator, it's doing exactly what it does when you pull it on there. And the analog value is set to 0.125. So all it's doing is it's taking and doing the offset, taking the input, subtracting the 0.125, and sending it out without going over And as you'll see, without going over the minimum and maximum. So just as in the other test B version, you still have all of the properties. And every element that you add to it is going to be exactly the same, but you can control them differently. And this is a huge step in the right direction for robotics and things of that nature, where you want to make a component, but you don't want to have to add 10 of them on the screen somewhere. It's just a waste of space. It slows everything down, and honestly, it looks like crap. All right, so this is how you got to do it, and now I'm going to show you the code for what you got to do. All right, so here we are. Is it working? Yeah, all bad jokes aside, let's get into this. So the first thing, as in with any component you're going to create, you should have a category. In this one, there is a testing category created, and these lines of code, just like in the other tutorials, are what makes that category. So it's going to be a black little symbol with two little googly eyes, and for teeth it says test. Yeah, so that's in the first vcomp file. You don't necessarily need an H file with this one. Now for the test E vcomp file, the very first thing you have to do is declare the namespace, just like up at the top there, right up there. Testing, it's in that namespace. You can make your own. If you're going to make your own components and things of this nature, please make your own namespace to avoid any conflicts. Okay, and then on your next step, you have to make a collection. All right, now you can name the collection whatever you want to name it. In this one, it is called Test E, and it's a collection. You have to name it a collection. That is how Visuino identifies it. And now also in this first line, where it is creating this collection, you see the Arduino test E collection, it doesn't specifically make the collection. The second part does, the Arduino persistent collection. The test E collection is simply what you are calling this persistent collection. Okay? So the first part, you're naming your collection, a collection, whatever you want. The second part is you're calling it a persistent collection. Very, very important. Okay, so now after you get your collection all set up, you're going to have to create the basic component that collection is going to be included into. So here we're calling it just basically, we're telling it to include the test e.h file. This is the only spot where you have to include an H file in this entire vcomp file, unless the particular element that you make requires an additional library. Okay, you're naming it the class, and we're creating the name E, test E, so it's in the namespace of testing, and it's named test E. This is the name that's going to show up in the component list, where all the little squares are, you know, and you pick it out and you drag it in. That's what it's going to be called, is test E. All right. Now the category is going into the Arduino testing category, which we have already identified in the testing vcomp file, the very first part I showed you right there. All right. Next, component editor entries design. Very important. This is what identifies this component as an editor entries design. It gives you the wrench. Can't add elements without a wrench, right? Right. Okay, now, as with any other component also that you're making, the basic component can have whatever pins you want, any inputs. It can be called an enable component, a clocked enable component, whatever you want to have as basic pins. This one is just going to have a property to enable it and disable it, and it's also just going to have an added clock pin down at the bottom, so we can clock the component whenever you want. If you don't want it to continuously run every loop, connect the clock to a clock source. All right, now here is the next important part. This is all you really need to get a basic element going, a basic component with elements. Just this. It's exclude collection items. I'm not exactly sure about that. Don't know exactly what it does. If you figure it out, please comment in the comments below for the video. Share your knowledge, and then we'll probably have to make an updated video about this. In line 16 there, component editor entry design. Now when you click on the add and then elements, in the right side of it, this isn't in the properties for it, this is in the right side. So when you highlight it, and then you can add the plus sign, right? You can add multiple, 1, 2, as many times as you click on it, it's going to add them, right? This gets just the component going. This does not add any of the elements that you can manually select and enter into it. This only starts the editor so you can create the elements that go into it. And now next we're going to get into how to add the different elements. All right, now if I scroll down here, you're going to notice right there that I started with test B, but test A is at the bottom of the list. Again, this is another situation where Visuino adds things from the bottom up. Bottom of the list, bottom of the vcomp file, up. That's how they're added. You can think of it after it sets up the component, right? It's going to come to this entire section right there. This sets up the test B element. So it says, okay, we're going to add you. And then it comes further down the line here, and it gets to the test A element. And it says, okay, put it to the top of the stack, right? Above the first one. First one's on the bottom, and then the second one, third one, fourth one. See what I mean? That's how you organize the elements inside of your area, where you're going to click them and add them. I'll show you again in a minute. But remember, just put them backwards. If you wanted it at the very top of the list, put it at the very bottom of the vcomp file. If you want it at the very bottom of the vcomp file, put it at the very top right after you create the component. Simple. Put them in between. That's how you organize the actual elements list. Alright, so now you got your basic component set up, and you've got the editor prepped and ready to start accepting all the elements that you want to put in there. Every element that you want to add to the editor, to the design editor, I think is what it's actually called, the component design editor, I think. You have to first tell it what collection you're going to send it to. Remember, we already set up this as a persistent collection at the top as the Arduino test E collection. So this piece of code here is getting added to the persistent collection of Arduino test E collection. And it's the same here at the bottom on the next one. Persistent collection, it tells it which collection it can go to. And yes, you can create collections inside of collections. How about that? Okay, so you've got your basic couple collections set up. You got your basic collection set up, and now it's time to start writing the code. A couple things that you have to remember. you're still setting up the elements just like a component. All right, think of it the same way, but it's not. You still have to name it. You have to give it a class. You have to give it a. If you're in the same namespace, you have to give it an original name, something different. You can't go test B inside of, like, if you're going to make a component test B, and then you're going to make component E that uses the code from test B, you can't just put that in there. It won't work that way. Name it differently. Like on this, it's test B element, okay? And then test A element down here is also down there. Now, the next step, after you put it into categories, you have to declare its own class. Each of these elements, you are creating the class inside of the original test E. So it looks at it as its own set of routines to run. The owner template type, that's in the E file. That's where you set up all of the names for the pins and what the variables are actually going to be called. And then the owner reference template is whatever elements that you put into whatever pins and stuff you put into the elements. It's going to just simply reference to that template, and you can add the same template multiple times. Here in number 28, where it's adding the icon, you notice we're still using the original test B icon and test A icon. You can still use the same icon, but you cannot call it its own, like up here, component. You can't call it a component. It's a basic named exclude persistent. This is a persistent collection. All the other namespaces are excluded from it. All other uses for components are excluded from using this. Basically is what I think that means. And again, we still just have our in, out, offsets. If you remember, the original test B did not have the in and out pins that we had to set. It was just offset. The in and out I had to add because the analog common component comes with those pins already in it, and you can't use a component setup, so you still have to add those pins. And the same goes with the test A element. The test A used to be just a common digital filter. It comes with an output and an input pin, right? You can't use them here like that. It just doesn't work. So yeah, you cannot reference to an already made component. It'll just start throwing crap all over the screen. It'll look horrible. 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 Just horrible. Alright, so if you understood all of that, good. If you didn't, rewind the video and watch it again. If you did understand it and you don't have to rewind the video to watch it again, why don't you take the time to like, share, comment, subscribe on the YouTube video. That'd be a huge plus. And remember, you can get all of these files and stuff over on our Patreon, patreon.com/aka Pigeon Kicker. No, you don't have to donate to get the files. That's just where you got to go to get them. And you might as well leave a like when you're there, okay? Thanks. Now we can get to the rest of it. Like right over there. Okay, and just to start this back up and get it finished, the first part of it is what you know of is in the vcomp file is we set up the actual enable component. Now, you know the enable component has an enable checkbox, pretty much. So that's what we're saying. Hey, the only thing on there for the template is a type name in only the component. That component, part of it, not the elements, is an enable check property. And we're naming it right here in the main template for test E, class of test E, which is the test E component, one thing, the enabled. Now you're also going to see that the A is pretty much the same as regular code. Everything remains the same, except for one major thing. Right here at the very top, in each of the elements, you're going to put a type name in there because there's two additional template properties that it's looking for. It's looking for the name of it, and it's looking for the owner of it, right? The type name and the owner, the class, right? So each one, the only thing you have to do to each template, okay, just the templates, is add T owner, comma, T owner, and C underscore owner. And I've done that to both A and the B element. You see, here's B element, test B element. And then down here, test A element. Right there. The only thing that is different, besides it being a component to Visuino, is that it's reclassifying the type name for the ownership of it over to the owner that actually used the element of that class. So, yeah, that's it. You're done. Oh, that's it. Literally. That's it. Yep. Like, share, comment, subscribe, or don't. It's all good. Please, YouTube could use the subscribers. AKA Pigeon Kicker. That's on the patreon.com. All the files are there. No need to donate to get the files. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.